They did it! You said they need to do like 6 different little things, and they did it! Hello and welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV. Once again, if you're a regular member of the RV Nerd Herd, here was some updated footage on the 203RKLE Surveyor. It's one of my favorite, not just surveyors, but floor plans period for couples camping, because it is small, it is light, it is easily towable, you can park it just about anywhere, and they, for these 2024 updates, they really dialed in. They were peeling through all the comments that you folks left, and they really checked a lot of the boxes you were looking for. Like, last year their solar package was 80 watts, and it was a glorified battery tender. This year it's 200 with a 30 amp charge controller, which means you could expand on that a little bit. And they now have a level of inverter prep. Basically, any outlet in the kitchen or the bathroom could be live if you choose to add an inverter to this. And those two things right there, I think, are major improvements from last year. Now, consider the fact that they've moved away from an import tire, gone to a Goodyear Endurance radial, which is like 87 miles an hour rated. One more, and you could go back in time with Doc Brown and Marty, but neither here nor there. The underbelly's still enclosed and forced air heated, but they standardized a previous option, and it now has a standard radiant barrier in the belly and 12-volt holding tank pads on every single Surveyor. And this is a Legend series. This is their smallest, simplest thing, but they nail so many big, awesome features. Like, I love the fact that they've got a little taller ceiling inside. I love the fact that they're all a 60 by 80 True Queen bed. Speaking of the bed, the storage around the bed in this one is fantastic, but it doesn't even come close to what is offered over in the kitchen. The kitchen storage in this is absolutely crazy. And one other major thing, somebody might look at this and say, I don't like that seating arrangement. A really cool thing that Surveyor does, they standardize all their seating swaptions. So if you want a dinette, or a hide-a-bed with a lagoon table, or a theater seat with a lagoon table, you can hot swap any of those 3 features on any floor plan where you see any of those features. So if you want a theater seat or a hide-a-bed or whatever you want, you can do all that and more on this one. Now, they really listened to you last year, so let's leave them some feedback and start working on those 2025 updates right now as we get going. And this floor plan was once kind of rare, but it's since become very common. I can think of like 6 or 7 different builders who all have a version of something like this, and they all bring something a little bit different to the table. And one of the things that's a little more unsung that Surveyor does here that I think is very cool is I think some people might look at this, especially once we start checking out the TV arrangement, and saying, I don't want a dinette. I think a dinette is a mistake. Surveyor allows you to choose from the 2-bench dinette or a hide-a-bed with lagoon table, so you still have a place that you can sit down and eat or do puzzles or whatever, or a theater seat also with a lagoon table. So, you know, they give you a 1, 2, 3 seating swaption that most manufacturers you're lucky if you get 1 or 2. Now, they've changed the decor from last year. It's got a little bit more of, I'm going to call it like a cowboy saddle brown, but like the entire RV is not HOA approved brown. So like it works for me, but as surprising as this might sound, I actually grew up like in the saddle, riding Western Pleasure here in Southern Michigan and doing, barrel horse racing and stuff like that on the weekends. That's actually, me as a little kid till about middle school. So like, that kind of speaks to me, but, I can see it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. When you're over here in the slide, the sofa's just staring right at you. Let me actually back up, and I'm going to take a seat at the dinette, just so you can see what it would look like back here. So if you got a theater seat or a hide-a-bed, you're staring straight at the sucker. This is fantastic. But that TV can also pivot. So if you want it to face over toward that Murphy sofa, you can. And check out the campside window coverage on this thing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 windows, all overlooking the campsite of your RV. So you don't ever see just like one giant picture window, but you get to see your campsite very, very nicely. And if you're noticing looking at that kitchen window, I did leave one pulled down just a bit. This is another of their 2024 updates I haven't talked about yet. They went away from all the like pleated blinds and stuff like that, and they went to blackout roller shades standard absolutely everywhere they could. Now, normally, you can't do those too close to a fire source. I gotta believe that their compliance engineer was paying attention to that. But either way, I'm glad that we don't have any kind of cloth pleated blinds over there. Now, the flooring of these, you may have noticed in the slide, is carpetless, but the entire floor is also ventless. Very pet friendly. You know, you do have cabinet side ducted venting. And speaking of cabinet sides, perfect little segue, we have a centralized vacuum system over here. You'll get to see the entire pool cleaner kit that comes with it in a few minutes when I open up all the storage. I've got it shoved inside that cabinet right there, just because this thing has so much storage. But you don't even have to use all the hoses and everything. It has what I like to call the electric dustpan. There's a handy little toe kick kind of thing that you can just brush everything toward and sweep it up, suck it up from there. Now, with this being an 1.5" Asdel laminated wall, there's really not room in the walls for power outlets. So they did have to get a little bit creative and hide some outlets under the overhead cabinets here. Which, I mean, it's not my favorite, but they did what they could. It would be really cool if they had room to put a power outlet or a pop-up power tower or something back in that corner. But, you know, with the overhead cabinet hangs down enough, I think most appliances will still manage. And some viewers have actually said, you know, Josh, you're constantly talking about how, you know, appliances have shorter cords, but it is actually kind of nice sometimes to have appliance outlets under those overhead cabinets, as long as it's not too awful tall and ridiculous, so that, you know, it helps for cord organization, which I thought was interesting. That was a cool point. Now, that red box that you saw on that acre of countertop, that is the factory tire pressure monitoring that's included with this. And up top here, first of all, you've got a taller 6'9" ceiling. So you just have bigger, more open clearance all the way around. You saw even in this little camper, we have central air, which I'm about to kick on because it is getting swampy in here. Mostly with the hot air that I'm breathing. Hey-o! Anyway. Also, just a plain white accent light above the slide. That's my personal nerd preferred way to do it. I just think it looks nice and clean. And what do you think about this idea? They've got a ton of storage in this, but I hate missing opportunities. It feels like there's a little bit of room for, what if it was just a single cabinet up there? I think it's up high enough. I don't think you're going to hit your head on it, but I don't know. What do you think about that idea? Now, you might notice you've got one big panoramic viewing window, but your slide side windows, those do open for airflow and breeze. And again, we've got those nicer blackout roller shades all the way around on this. And I talk about this all the time, but if I had my way about it, I'd get rid of those knee knocker legs and I'd put a set of free-floating folding legs in there, which I'm getting pretty good at saying, even though that's got a lot of F's in it. Now, you haven't seen a lot of like USB plugs. If you notice down low on each of the Murphy sofa bedside kind of stands right there, you've got household and USBs. That is pretty low for a USB plug, but you notice how they just maximize the drawer storage. So like, more storage is never the wrong answer. What's also easily missed is behind those wardrobe towers, there's another set of household outlets, and you will see as we peel this sucker apart, some absolutely fantastic headboard power pocket storage space here. Now, I've got to flip you over into wide angle mode so that you can take a look at my big fat head. Basically, that's the only way I can manage to fit it in frame, is I show you how the storage and the Murphy bed and everything works. Look at the storage around this bed. I think this thing has more storage around the bed than maybe any other builder of a layout like this. Surveyor is getting absolutely fantastic, especially in their Murphy beds, at really maximizing the storage. Now, here's another really rare thing. They're not, I don't think, the only ones doing it, but that is a 60 by 80 queen bed. In fact, I know they're not the only ones doing a 60 by 80 true queen Murphy, because I know for a fact Freedom Express and I think Alta does as well. But my point here is that is a rare find in that it is a true queen length bed. Now, it is a folding bendy bed mattress, which isn't necessarily my favorite, but what if you just flat out don't care about the Murphy bed function of this camper? One of the really cool things about this concept and design, the way that they've executed it, is you could take out the factory backbreaker death wafer Murphy bed mattress, and you could put in place a 60 by 80 true queen of your choice and just leave it there. You could just negate the fact that it's a Murphy bed if you wanted to and put a true queen in, and the slide you're going to see in road mode can still open and close. And that is another clutch detail that this one does that a lot of builders of this floor plan do not. Now, a lot of campers do this. but you'll find the thermofoil sealed-edged countertops everywhere. Some brands are starting to get a little penny wise and pound foolish, and they're doing it like only in the kitchen, but they're not doing it like on the tables or in the bathroom. Surveyor's doing it everywhere. And did you notice they revised basically their cutting board backsplash behind the stove, and it now perfectly fits that farm sink. So if you want to totally flatten out this entire buffet-sized serving station over here, you can. By the way, have you ever noticed that people at a buffet are rarely super buff? I know that I certainly fit that demographic. I'm not even judging. I'm just stating an observation. Anyway, by the way, all of our cabinetry up here is all pocket screwed lumber core, which is my favorite genre of heavy metal lumberjack music. Last year they did have a gas electric two-way swaption. That is gone. The 12-volt DC compressor fridge, a little over 10 cubic feet that we're looking at right now, is now the standard, as is the bigger Go Power solar package here. Last year, this was I think only like a 10 amp controller. Now it's a 30 amp controller, and instead of 80 watts up on the roof, you also have 200. Now, here's another interesting thing. Any outlet that basically is like GFI protected, meaning near a water source, is also inverter prep. So the kitchen and bathroom outlets, if you choose to add an inverter, which would mount in the front pass-through compartment of the RV, you could have those things live powered when you are off grid. Now, if you're going to do that, I would really recommend bulking up on your batteries and doing some expanded solar. I'm going to get you a better look at this toilet in just a minute here, because this is not the best angle for it. I'll do my little toilet selfie champion routine in a few minutes there. The open face towel storage here, I refer to that as towel storage because I'm told that with just towels, it actually works pretty well. For bottles of body wash and stuff, you're going to want to put some kind of thing in there to prevent it from falling down. Holding tank heaters, now standard on these, previously optional. You see that tankless on-demand water heater controller. I'll try to remember to circle back and hit on that a little bit more when we step outside. The sink is kind of small, but that also means really big countertop space, so I guess this one's downfall is also its, greatest asset. And pardon my footprints there, that nice rectangular shower. One of the other things that I like about this, with that taller ceiling, we've got more headroom up in there where I can scrub my scalp. But just to give you another angle on things, jumping over here into the shower, I think that this is actually a far better way to see what kind of space is around that porcelain foot flush stool. I will say the toilet paper holder right there, a little bit of a funny bone banger. It's a little bit of a zinger, if you know what I mean. It really electrifies that elbow. But you know what? You can always move that or take it down, or just, I don't know, maybe it works fine for you and it doesn't work for me. I also wanted to point out the fact that one of the best qualities on this RV is the fact that it has, I think, basically A- travel access. Notice, you can still fold down and use the Murphy bed over here even when the slide is retracted. The sofa comes right up to it, but they don't quite kiss, so you don't have to worry about something getting caught and ripping off and damaging slide fascia or ripping up your sofa or anything like that. It just works. And, if I'm rolling down the road, or rolling down the river, as it were, then this is what I want. It's got a full-on, you can, walk the catwalk kind of thing. We can get to our sink. We've got awesome kind of countertop prep space, bathroom, bedroom. All your major travel stop functions are right here, brother. And like I said, this is just a good, easy model for towing and going. Basically 25 foot tip to tail. And take a look at the GVW and the cargo capacity on this. The maximum loaded weight on this is just under 7,600 pounds. So a good tow package half ton should yank this thing around all day long, uphill, downhill, both ways. Now you start going through crazy rocky mountains where you have elevation changes and thinner, oxygen mixes in your fuel. And I get that becomes a factor. But for the most part, you're going to be able to just jerk this sucker right around. And it's got some really respectable cargo capacity. Still got the motion lighting in here. You see they're still including what I like to call the cordless jack system, where basically you got the little drill bit right there that you can hook into a drill, obviously, and you can NASCAR pit crew those corner stabilizers up and down, just and It just makes life a lot simpler and easier. I will say that if you do have one of those nice 18-volt impact drills, first of all, good for you. Secondly, maybe wait till the morning to do that, if you want to not cheese off the neighbors. Now, some good front storage space on that. Between the big front baggage door, though, and that little mini rear kitchen and window, they did have to go a little bit minimal on the awning. I mean, they gave you as much as they could, but it's not the biggest awning I've seen, but they also were not literally able to put anything more into it. What do you think about the new black door, by the way, with that full viewing window in it? Kind of curious. Now, you can sort of see it up here if you look just over the roof line. You can see that new, more than double size. I think it's like 1.5 times larger, or no, 2.5 times larger. I can't, it's too early. I can't math. Math is hard. Anyway, it's now 200 watts instead of 80. That's what I was getting at. So, I mean, that's a significant improvement, I think, in their total solar package. And now with a 30-amp charge, looks like we shot some tire shine on these, but didn't get them cleaned off, so we get an A for effort, but an E for execution. Anyway, whatever, that's life, baby. We're making omelets, we broke some eggs. My point here, though, is they've now got those Goodyear endurance radials, and that's another major thing that I know some people were asking for last year. Over here, the little mini camp kitchenette, of course, has a little propane cooker hooker for that griddle. That is that little white flag you see hanging down below the skirt line. That's your gas grill quick connect. And they had this corner in the kitchen where they couldn't do stuff, so they opened it up outside. But instead of putting the griddle directly in front of the refrigerator so that it would be like a forearm singer. By the way, if you ever talk to a professional cook or chef, they've always got burn marks on their forearms from like hot pans and stuff like that. Well, the idea here is this is designed to prevent that from happening. That created this extra little space where it's not a full true sink because they didn't have room for plumbing. But they didn't just waste it. By sliding the griddle off to the side, they had a spot there for a little wash basin, or as my grandmother would say, wash. You know, W-O-R-S-C-H, go wash your hands before dinner. And that was the phrase that I always heard growing up camping. But hey, you know, that's the kind of the funny thing. That's why camping's so cool to me. You have those memories that stick with you for the rest of your life. And those summers that I spent in my basic, not flashy, fancy family camper growing up, man, they've stuck with me. Like going out to break a little branch or something like that off so my dad could whittle it so that we could use that for s'mores. You know, that was our s'mores sticker. Although usually when my brother had to go break off a branch, it's because he was told to go pick his switch. And I'm willing to bet, based off the comments that I see from some of you, there are plenty of you out there that know what picking your switch means. So we're slide awning prepped, as you may have noticed. Let me get back on track here. And this is another new update I forgot to talk about previously. Tankless on-demand water heater. So no more of those chilly willy showers. I am a person who can take a super fast, cowboy shower. I ain't gonna lie though, I do like to just stand there in hot water. And sometimes it's really nice. Now I do tend to park camp more often than not. If I was boondocking, I certainly wouldn't waste a bunch of time doing that. Now up front, you see that little yellow antenna thing? That is the repeater for our tire pressure monitoring system. I do like the simple battery disconnect up front. Doesn't have to be flashy, doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to work. And up front here, you see that little silver sucker? That is the drunken uncle leash latch. So next time Uncle Gary ties one on, you can make sure he doesn't go wandering off into traffic overnight. Again. So once again, that's just my little nerdy view of things. Everyone's got a different opinion, and I respect yours, and I welcome yours. And I would ask you to leave some comments into the, well, I almost said the video description, but that would be difficult. In the comments section, should have had a V8. And, your feedback, like improve the solar, improve the tires, those things were adopted from last year. Let's see together where they could take the next step forward. I'm excited. Like, Surveyor's a brand that hadn't been on my radar until very recently, and they're very quickly earning my respect. Like, it is a smart money camper, and if you read through the comments, what I see, no, I've never claimed any brand is perfect, but I see a lot of people with Surveyors going, man, I have this model or that model, and my family goes out, we just have a great time. It just works and we love it. Like, I see those comments all the time, so it tells me they're doing something right. Now, to help you out here, I'll leave you some links in the video description, or you can scan the QR code if you're just watching off like TV or something like that, where you can check pricing and availability on one of these at any given point, whether you're curious or whether you're serious. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.